All right, great. Okay. The Hey Celeste, how are you? Hi Mosh. All right, all righty, we'll start. Okay, great. Okay, so tonight we're going to speak about something called the forces that shape us, and it's going to be a little different than
Should I
what
go
we've
in a
done in the
different room?
past, but the
I'm
application
listening to a class.
is absolutely practical.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, great. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how we live in the world, and then we're going to sort of drill down to where we want to end up. So in the first class on Purim, we mentioned the concept of nebuah, of prophecy, and we said that prophecy enables us to get involved in our world beyond what reality allows. In other words, everybody has the ability to utilize this yeda, this knowledge, this ruach kodesh, this language from the heavens. It's available to everybody on varying levels at various periods of time. Call it ruach kodesh, call it divine inspiration, call it low grade prophecy, but it's available to everybody all the time in varying levels, and it enables us to think beyond what our basic reality provides. And we learned it together. We talked about it. It was something we've all known. And we accept it. Hi, Gaily, honey. We accept it. We say, yeah, that's right. We have the ability to think, to be engaged beyond what our basic senses allow, because prophecy and connecting to people on that level is common to the Jewish people. We've spoken about, and in that respect, there's something beautiful in the parshiot that we're reading now, where it says, "Ubelev kol chacham lev natati chokhmah," and that verse, in varying forms, the same words essentially, is repeated 20 some odd times in these parashiot that deal with building the Mishkan. And what it says is that in the heart of someone who acquires knowledge, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give knowledge. What does that mean? If someone is working hard and studying and learning and growing intellectually, that whatever he or she achieves will be pumped up by an extra added X by Akadosh Baruch Hu. So here again, we accept as common knowledge, hi Serene, we accept as common knowledge that we engage intellectual learning, and Hakadosh Baruch Hu adds to it. Hi Sarah, we studied X amount and earned X amount of knowledge. But Akadosh Baruch Hu says, you study X amount, you grow to a certain level intellectually, I'm going to add. So here again, on a physical level, we worked to acquire a certain thing. But metaphysically, there's an energy, there's a gift, there's a bonus, there's something that comes completely outside of the realm of the 1 hour plus 1 hour equals 2 hours of my learning, that turbocharges my learning. There's something beyond that, and we accept it. We take it for granted. We assume it. We've talked about this before. Music. Music is something that we know isn't absolutely grounded in the physical. It's metaphysical. It's transformative. It plays a huge, essential role in the practice of the Levi'im in the Beit HaMikdash, and it plays an essential role in the development of prophets and their training. Why? Because music, although it's done on a physical plane, has this absolute, indispensable metaphysical benefit, and that's what we recognize, and that's how we engage it. And it goes further. Tefillah. We believe that when we pray, even though I'm a physical person saying words in a physical venue based on physical written book, my words can go beyond the physical up to the heavens and touch the gates of the heavens. Hi, Sari, how are you? Touch the gates of the heavens. We believe it. We accept it. Keep going. We believe that my passivity on Shabbat, my menucha, my abstinence from work, my sheva al ta'aseh, so to speak, has the ability to move me beyond myself, beyond what I'm sitting in and thinking about, and enable me a new level of creativity. You want a new level of creativity towards your family, towards your work, towards your chesed, towards personal growth? Take minucha, detach on Shabbat, and that detachment, which is totally non-active, enables another level of creativity. A few more examples. A few more quick examples. I'm going to open up. We believe and understand that a day, the Jewish the week, let's say, for example, you have Purim on Friday. Hey, Celeste, how are you?
Hi,
Nice to
how are
see
you?
you. We believe
Nice.
that once we have a Purim on a Friday, it's not a Friday anymore. It's a Purim day, and it's a different day. So my point in all this is to say that we've been regimented and regulated and trained to know and understand that there isn't this absolute boundary between us and between the metaphysical. And there are things that we can't quantify, that we can't touch, that we can't measure, but that we can access and that will benefit us and impact our lives. Good? Whether it's a prophetic opportunity, whether it's music, whether it's knowledge, whether it's song, whether it's rest, whether it's the fact that we can take a day and infuse it with something absolutely metaphysical and have it then come back and impact us like Purim did, whether it's achdut, with unity, where we know that unity based on an unconditional level of acceptance, whatever that level is, will move things beyond what the practical world would demand. So we've grown up with this perspective that the physical and the metaphysical, they just blend together. That's just how it is. Okay so far? Good? Everybody's okay with that? Sari, you okay? Good with it? Yes? Great. Okay. Physical, metaphysical. Ain't no boundaries. Great. Now, I want to leave that as our header, and I want to move over a little bit into a specific area that we want to develop tonight. There was an old halacha that developed over time that has a very interesting history. Hey, Erwin, very interesting history. And this is the halacha of washing, of the ritual washing of the hands. Erwin, you're going to have some fun tonight. Ritual washing of the hands, right? How did this start? It starts out where the Kohanim, the priests, are doing work in the Bet HaMikdash, and their work is qualified by the fact that they must purify their hands before touching the korban, before touching the sacrifice. So the way it was understood was that although the body is one, is absolutely connected, the hands being the outermost extension of the body are those things that reflect its impurity primarily, and therefore, to whatever extent we can purify ourselves, we purify our hands. In other words, ideally, if someone touched a dead reptile or was in the environment of a person who passed away or whatever, and becomes impure by that, amer by that, their whole body takes on that status. But if they do, in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, well, that Cohen couldn't serve in the Beit HaMikdash, would have to distance himself and do a tevilah, he'd have to go to the mikveh and then stay out for a handful of days, depending on the level of the impurity. But generally speaking, our rabbis declare that a person's hands are invariably involved in something that may make them impure, and therefore, before a person touches a sacrifice, he has to do a ritual washing. Okay, so far? Before a person touches the sacrifice, a Kohen, he has to wash his hands ritually. His hands may be physically clean, but he has to wash them ritually. In fact, if he didn't, then the halacha is that korban can't be brought to the altar, that sacrifice can't be brought to the altar, it has to be destroyed, it has to be burned. Fine, that's where it starts. As an extension of that, our rabbis declared that the 1% that's given to all Kohanim, the terumah, that's given to the Kohanim as a gift from all of the Jewish people, each of the Jewish people, that terumah has a certain holiness to it, and that can't be touched either unless a person does netilah, unless a person ritually cleans their hands. X hundreds of years go by, and our rabbis say, you know what? We want to elevate the existence of everybody. Therefore, remember that halacha that we were metaken, that the rabbis brought down for the Kohanim, that they would have to ritually wash their hands before they touch the sacrifice? Remember when we extended it to say that they would have to ritually wash their hands before they touch terumah? We're going to extend it again. Now you guys tell me, where did they extend it to? What was the next step down? What do we all do with our netilat yadayim? When do we do it? When do we do it? When do we tell yadayim?
In the morning.
Huh?
In the morning when we eat.
In the morning and when we eat. Good, Sarah, great. So where does it go at this point? Our rabbis say there's certain energy in food. There's a certain capacity of food to impact the human being. Food can bring happiness. Food will be mood changing. Food can be intellectually stimulating. Food can make us emotionally inspired. Food has energy. So our rabbis declare that in order for the food that's about to enter our bodies to have its full impact on us, it has to be brought in with pure hands, because the energy that's on my hands will transfer over to my food. So we went from the Beit HaMikdash and the Kohanim to the Kohanim outside to everyone. And what's fascinating is that after the Beit HaMikdash was gone, and the origins of this halacha of ritual washing really went away, and any enforcement, any empowerment, any encouragement that came to the Kohanim as a result of all the Jewish people now washing their hands at some point was no longer the halacha of washing your hands before having bread stuck. And what evolved in Judaism was a major body of work describing how that energy that's in food has to be considered. Can we quantify it? No. But we also can't quantify why a person has a prophetic possibility. We can't quantify what prayer does and how that works, and that's transformative. There are a number, as we've said, a number of these metaphysical / physical things that can't be quantified but are real. So let's recap. A, we very comfortably live with the perspective that there isn't a boundary at a practical reality level. We speak to God even though we're absolutely physical and he absolutely isn't. He speaks to us even though logically that can't work. We are uplifted by certain things that we do, certain days that we enjoy, certain actions that we do, even though they have nothing to do with the physical expression. So, yes, Ari, go ahead.
So like, I understand, but like, how does God speak to us?
So we talked about this actually in the first Purim class. And what we said then was that one of the cornerstones which Amalek stands against is this perspective of Nevuah, meaning it's like a fifth dimension where I can read and study and experience and know and speak and learn and grow and interact and build a perspective about things. And then I will be inspired or guided by something beyond all of that which I practically worked on.
So like, are you saying like,
Yeah,
like a thought or an idea
a
stems
thought,
from
an
God
idea,
speaking to us?
100%, all the time. It goes on all the time. In fact, some rabbis say that it's perpetual, it's constant. That they describe it as a bed, a faucet that's open, that is pushing itself to get into the person's heart and mind, begging for the person's acceptance. So the notion that there's an ongoing connectedness is an absolute given. The challenge is for us to be there, to be open, to be listening. Okay, so far?
Rick,
Yeah.
hi. So I have a thought. I wanted your opinion on this. If something happens
Wait,
in
but
your life,
Erwin, what was the thought did it stem from God or how did the thought start?
Okay, we'll talk about it in a minute. Yeah, right. Go ahead. Yeah. Where did it come from? Right.
I can never express my strategy or whatever, but you know me, so you could figure it out. So no,
Right.
like this, if things happen in your life, like things in my life that happen, I know without a doubt, every second he's there. But at the end of the day, when things happen that I know he's sort of communicating with me, I know that it happened like that second. Erwin has a gift. Is that a communication? Because obviously you're not walking, it's not verbal.
But I'm telling you, it's more than that. I'm telling you, it's more than that. I'm telling you, it's if you're at a certain level, and we're going to talk about one of the elements that brings a person to that level tonight.
Right.
If you're at a certain level, it's constant, it's ongoing. So
Right,
we
okay.
get a pop. We're all going to get a pop here and a pop there. We're all going to get a pop, right? But what we want to be in it. We want to be in it constantly, right? Yeah, you with me? We want that whisper coming into our heads constantly. Now, does anybody achieve it constantly? No. You know why? Because we get taken back by stress, emotional challenges, things we shouldn't be concerned about. But to the extent that we can away from those, then the stream of information is absolutely constant and ongoing. Okay? Okay, good. So we've established that that exists. We've established that there's this other thing that seemingly isn't related to what we're talking about, but clearly is, and we're going to discuss how, that there's a inspiration blocker that we call tum'ah or impurity that can manifest itself on the person, and how we don't know. We will someday when HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills us in. But this tum'ah or this impurity becomes a blocker to all these areas of energy that are being offered to us. So, as we said, at the highest point of nexus between human being and God, at the point of a sacrifice, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, stop. I don't want anything blocking this possibility. Do a ritual washing and remove from your hands anything that might deter, that might suck some of the beautiful energy out of the sacrifice. When it came to Terumah, the gift of the Kohanim, which is Kadosh, which has sanctity to it, our rabbi said the same thing. Wait a second. This is a gift from each Jewish person. This has Kedusha to it. It can't be eaten by anybody but the Kohanim, and so on. You know what? In order to harvest the maximum from this elevated food, we want the hands to be pure. And then it dispersed to the whole nation. And what did it become? Bread is the cornerstone of a meal. Food has power, has energy, will impact, will change, will transform. I don't want anything blocking that positive energy, that unique energy, that metaphysical physical bang. And therefore, I want to take the economy of my body, because I'm not going to go dunking my whole body every time I eat. That would be great, but I'm not. I can't. It's not practical. So I'm going to take the most extreme, the most extended point of my body, and I'm going to remove any tum'ah, any impurity from that. Jane, you were going to say something? No. Okay. No, you good? Sarah, you?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, great.
Ricky, one question. If the Netilat Yadayim is for bread only, correct?
Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
Right.
Without
No, but so
for a
I'm
meal,
just asking, well, you're probably gonna,
when we're having a meal,
right.
we're not based on
Awesome.
what we don't want. No,
Go
no.
take your Zyrtec.
Well, let's talk about it now. We have, where did it go from there? It went to a fascinating place that, I would say, 1,000 years, took on this gigantic influence in the Jewish people. And the Kabbalists weighed in on it well before that, and other thinkers built on that, and the Halakha weighed in on it. And this became the primary manifestation of impurity and the opportunity to remove the impurity and keep the channels of connectedness wide open. And what is that? Netilat Yadayim in the morning. Ritual washing in the morning. Okay, let's talk about it. What a person does is he or she wakes up, says the Modeh Ani, immediately by the bed, pull out a pair of pants or a shirt, whatever it is. Immediately by the bed, says the Modeh Ani, and then immediately by the bed, does the washing 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? And what is the halacha? We always start something with our right hand. So we pick up the cup with our right hand, hand it over to our left hand, and then pour the water over the right hand. Then people put it down and pick it up by the right hand and pour it over by the left hand. Or you hand it from one hand to the other. But we always start a mitzvah with the right hand. We pick up the cup with the right hand, hand it to the left hand, and then douse that right hand with water. Not up to the fingers, only up to the fingers on a fast day. And we douse it with water. Because we believe water, from a Kabbalistic perspective,
Right.
is clarified as chesed. It has the ability to purify, to cleanse, to sweeten, to remove any gevurah related negative. So our rabbis say as follows. At night, the neshama is much less pronounced in the human being. In fact, different opinions hold that different portions of the neshama leave the body, making the body more prone to impurity. The impurity manifests in the body. That impurity, we can't quantify it, we can't see it, but it becomes a blocker to this showering of connectedness that we would otherwise enjoy. Our rabbis say, ideally, everybody would go to a mikveh every morning and dump. It's not practical. So where does the tumah most manifested, the impurity? In the extreme part of the body, in the hands. So it's recommended that a person not even walk 15 feet to wash, more than 15 feet, more than 8 feet actually, to wash. And that it's done as close to the bed as possible. Yes, Celeste. You're on mute, unmute.
So my question is, if it's the best time to purify yourself in the daytime and not at the nighttime, why women commanded to go to the mikveh at night, always in the dark, always after sundown, like strictly when it's very dark, and we're trying to say the beracha about tevilah.
Yeah, that's very much about modesty. It's very much about modesty, why people will go and less, somebody has to go during the day for whatever reason, they're allowed to go during the day, but generally speaking, it's a more modest time to go. And a person wants to go at a time when they'll be, then most close to the opportunity to be with their husband again and so on. So for those reasons,
But is God like open to all those berachot that you say when you're at the mikveh, and all the prayers that you have that opportunity to ask for?
Why not? Right? Why not? But to your point,
if it's not,
yeah.
If it's nighttime and it's not the best time for tevilah, I don't know. Is God connecting back with us? If
I don't know that it's not the best time for tevilah. I would say that it is, for the reasons we mentioned, from a perspective of sneakut and from a perspective of intimacy in terms of your spouse. I would say it probably is the best time, and that's why we do it then. But when you're talking in a general lifestyle, in how I'm approaching my day, a person can approach their day with this sort of big, heavy weight on their shoulders that precludes them from the openness and the expansiveness that they'd be given, or we can be open to that. Now,
why the difference? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, the difference in ritual between washing before food and washing when you wake up. One is three to the left, three to the right, and the others right, left, right, left.
Exactly. And the implications are very, very different. You know, the for food are that pure hands will activate the maximum purity in the food, the maximal oomph, the maximal power, the maximal generative possibilities in the food on every level, emotionally, intellectually, and so on. In the morning, we want to give a blocker. Now, the halacha is fascinating. You're not allowed to touch any part of your body until you've done the Netilat Yadayim in the morning, until you've washed your hands, because the concern is that it will cause harm. Of course, you're not allowed to touch another person. Of course, you're not allowed to touch a baby. You certainly shouldn't pray. So the concern about this thing called tum'ah became very pronounced in Judaism. Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol, the rabbi of Rabbi Akiva, makes a statement to him that seems kind of shocking. He tells him that one of the most important things in halacha altogether is Netilat Yadayim, and others have followed suit. So, what do you guys say so far? What are your thoughts? Any questions? Any?
I mean, I'm going to say this, but I'm only saying it because it's running through my mind. What's the big deal about washing your hands? Just take a shower in the morning and get rid of the whole tum'ah and forget about the whole thing.
Right. So it's a nice point, but the
Sarah always likes to go big.
yeah. It's really interesting that the ritualistic side of it, the process, is paramount. So let's talk about the process. Pick the cup up with my right hand, hand it over to my left hand. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, as AB described. Lift my hands up, heavens. Do shif-shuf. Just rub my hands right, left, one with the other 3 times. Open my hands back up. Say the beracha and dry them. Got it? As close to the bed as possible. As soon after I wake up as possible. The cleanliness, to your point, Sarah, you're right. You would say, you know what? In certain halachic respects, a shower has the same benefit as a mikvah. It does. We know that. It's true. So let me immerse my whole body in a shower and purify that way. And you know something? Had this takanat chachamim, this rabbinic mitzvah evolved in modern times, it might have gone to get up and everybody must take a shower. In those times, that wasn't practical.
Right. Wasn't feasible.
So what was practical? My hands, removing it from my hands. Now, the other important point here is that generally speaking, we say a beracha before we do the mitzvah, right? We said the beracha before we heard the Megillah, right? We say a beracha before we start wrapping the tefillin on our arms, right? Generally speaking, 90-something% of the time, we say the beracha before we do the mitzvah. In the case of Netilat Yadayim, of the ritual washing, we can't do it because our hands are impure. And we don't want to be saying God's name with impure hands. So we have this fabulous challenge where we generally say the beracha before the mitzvah.
Wait, I'm not on
We can't do it. So we go into the mitzvah, and in the middle of the mitzvah, before we end it, before we dry our hands, we say the beracha.
But then we can't talk until we eat.
No, I can
No?
say the
Oh, yeah, you're
beracha.
saying, right, right. I'm thinking of Netilat Yadayim like on Shabbat when you go make.
Right, you don't want to speak between the netilah and the hamotzi, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, now, I can tell you, I will tell you that I can sense in certain cases when a person walks into the room, I can sense their tum'ah. Me personally, I'm super sensitive to this issue. In the same way, a person will radiate positive energy, warmth, charisma, magnetism, certain people, the same way they can radiate something somewhat put offish, somewhat frightening. You know, the halacha is, again, you can't touch a baby because that negative energy, that ruach, that spirit of negativity that's on your hands might hurt the child. Wow. But it gets even more interesting. Our rabbis say that if we can educate children when they're young, even before the age of doing mitzvot, to do netilat yadayim in the morning, they will develop over time a heightened sensitivity to purity in life in general, to less manipulative mind practices, to a more defined and clear she'ifot, dreams and hopes and lifestyle, less being pulled in one direction or the other. Because tum'ah clouds, tahara clarifies. The pasuk that is tied to Netilat Yadayim is the pasuk of V'hiktashtem v'yitem kadoshim ki kadosh ani. Become kadosh and stay kadosh because I am, God says. What does kadosh mean? Kedusha means I'm operating in the same general seeming reality as everybody else, but I'm in my own zone, an elevated zone, where all that input that we talked about in the beginning, that's forwarded to me all day long, is more easily received by me, is more clearly anticipated, is more successfully absorbed. So can we sit today together, anyone, anywhere, and say, this is Tum'ah? We can't. And we still, and nobody ever could until now.
I have a question.
But yeah, go ahead.
So if the ritual is sort of cleanses the body and clears the mind,
Right.
should we not do it before learning Torah, before prayer and things like that?
Fantastic, Abe. Fantastic. Fantastic. So it goes like this. Anytime we leave the bathroom during the day, anytime we visit a bathroom and go out, we should do Netilat Yadayim without a beracha. Anytime, every time. And then, again, no beracha, but there's a sense that there's tum'ah, there's impurity in a bathroom, for obvious reasons. Anytime we fall asleep, if a person falls asleep during the day for 1 minute or more, he or she should do netilah. Because for that 1 minute, that absence of the full presence of the neshama in the body, on the planet, for that brief moment, allows tum'ah to get inside of a person. If a person was working or playing ball or just around the house, and now he's getting up to pray, he should do netilat yadayim, again, without a beracha. If he's getting up to learn, do netilat yadayim, without a beracha. But what ends up happening is, when you do it, to your point, Abe, you developed a very high sensitivity to this pure state of mind. And again, is it perfect? No. Is it quantifiable? Yes. Will you feel it? Yes. Will you sense it? Yes. Will you be uncomfortable opening a book without Nitilat Yadayim? Yes. Will you feel more connected when you do it? Yes. Sorry, God.
So I teach yoga, and I teach yoga. I teach private
Okay.
classes. I teach regular classes, and right after I finish teaching,
Meditate.
not only to like wash the germs from student to student, I always feel the need. I know it because I'm teaching on Zoom. And even after I teach a Zoom class, before I teach the next Zoom class, I have to go and wash my hands.
No.
And it's so interesting because I just feel like I need to refresh. And I don't know why, but I do. I wash my hands. It's not because of germs. It's not because of Corona, because I'm doing it. I'm teaching on Zoom. It's just interesting what I do. I watch myself do it, and I feel like it's like a new start, or I'm washing off the old.
And it is. And wash now, do it. You're doing it just in a sink now, right?
I wash it in the sink with soap, and I just dry my hands, and I go on teach.
Beautiful. Do it now with a cup. Do it with a Netilat Yadayim cup. And do
Okay.
it, of course, no beracha. Try it with a Netilat Yadayim cup. And you're gonna find that there's a greater level of awareness. What you're teaching essentially is awareness, right? Self-awareness, broader sense of awareness, right? That's a portion of what you're teaching, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. So as you do the netilah, we need koach gavra, meaning that the water has to come with a force, with an energy. So we're very fortunate. We have faucets. So we open the faucet, you have koach gavra. It comes into the cup. Again, pick up with my right hand it to my left. And during the day, we don't have to go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, although we can, but we want to go generously here and generously there. And the generosity here is also very interesting because we believe that water is the ultimate purifier. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe some of you who have studied different things in the world would understand that well. But water is the absolute purifier. And the more generous a person is when he washes, both in the morning and before having bread, say for the Shabbat meal, to the extent that really gets it to the wrist and generously pouring water, the more the elevation is. So before I study, after I've taught, when I finish work and I'm ready to do something else, it's an ability to step up and to become more receptive.
Rick, a question I have. Is the exercise of the number and the movement, is that Kabbalistic in origin or?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%.
Right.
So good. So let's go over it again. I did my washing, right? I picked my hands up. I do the shifshuf. I go like this, always right over left. Right hand first and then left. Right hand first and then left. I reach back up to the heavens. So what am I doing when I'm doing this? I'm talking about the morning, right? What am I doing, Erwin, when I'm doing this?
Connecting.
I'm connecting.
Get you through the day.
What's that?
Get me through the day.
Talk to me. I'm the receptacle. I'm open.
Oh, you're opening up. Aha.
I'm open. I'm
Like
turning.
poteach et yadecha.
Huh?
Like poteach et yadecha.
Exactly. Poteach et yadecha. I'm opening up to the heavens. I'm here, Hashem.
Wow.
Talk to me. I'm with you. Now,
Nice.
how does it work exactly? Will we ever know? I don't know. But I will say to you, and I
Oh,
struggle.
Ricky, we know from the reward of the day. That's
Right,
the
you'll know from the
payment.
word. You're going to know from a heightened awareness, a different level of creativity, a different level of expansive thinking, less blockers, more confidence. You're going to know from all of those things.
Right.
And you know, I've struggled in a positive sense with Netilat Yadayim for a very long time. It's like a recurring thing for me, because I believe and know with all my heart and from my life experience that the channels are so much more open than we use. They're so much bigger. The pipe is so much wider, and we constrict it. We limit it. And one of the primary ways to avoid that is to remove this thing. What is tuma? Who knows? But you know what? There's a lot of stuff we don't know, but we bank on it, and it's been proven to work for us for thousands of years. So that's how we want to, where we want to be, how we want to approach this.
Ricky,
Uh-huh.
Ricky, I have a question. When we
Hi,
wash for
Aunt Sandy.
Hi, sweetheart. When we wash for Al Netilat Yadayim, after we pour the water from the cup, are we supposed to wrap our hands the way you just said in the morning? I was under the impression that you just lift your hands up.
Right. So there are a few opinions on that. There is one opinion that says lift your hands up, say the beracha, hands. We always want to say the beracha with hands up.
Right. Right.
Our hands up, right? Before we dry our hands, say the beracha and dry our hands. Once we've dried our hands, the mitzvah is over. Too late to say the beracha. The other opinion says the shifshuf. I'm not sure what the shifshuf, what the rubbing adds, but it's two, to Erwin's point, it's two Kabbalistic perspectives. The rubbing seems to suggest a further level of removal of anything that might have lingered on the hands, a further level of removal. It suggests that. That's the only thing I saw on it that I thought, was more of a validating point. So there's certainly an opportunity to say washing hands up, face up, and I should be looking at the tips of my fingers as they're pointed to the heavens as I say the beracha. So ideally it's hands up, face up, drying up here. The other opinion recommends doing the shifshuf, but you're absolutely, you'll say the chovah, you fulfill the mitzvah either way.
Is it the same for both the morning and the washing of bread, or is one different than the other?
Very nice. So the washing the bread is also a good idea to pick up the hands and do the shifshuf. It's also a good idea to do so.
And I'm saying, as far as rubbing the
Yes.
hands.
Yes.
Whatever you do, in other words, whatever you do for one, you should do for the other.
Yes. The one in the morning really became much more potent. So I would say if you're only going to rub your hands once, do it in the morning. But ideally, do it twice. And again, imagine just as we do it, many of us are doing this, of course, but the heightened sensitivity of the hands up, head up, eyes up, first thing in the morning. The minute you regain life is a very nice thing. It's a very nice thing. And if somehow over time we can continue to discover the clarity that it brings, it has immeasurable benefit.
Also, I wanted to say something, just a thought about the mikveh, about going at night. Is it possible because it's the first chance we get of the day that we're supposed to go? In other words, the day starts at night. So you're doing it at the first opportunity?
It could be. I'm not really sure. It could be. It could be. My sense is that it's something about that a man and woman should really only be together at night, and if the lady was able to go during the day, maybe that would create challenges for people, and the overall modesty of the person going and leaving without being seen by other people and that kind of thing. That's my sense.
Okay, makes sense. Your sense makes sense.
It's okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
on Yom Kippur, when we're allowed to wash, right? But we only could go up to, like, let's say the knuckles.
exactly. Only up to the
So
knuckles.
I just find it, like, that's the one day that we want to be the most pure, and we really can't fulfill the mitzvah, to
Absolutely.
that.
So we hold that Yom Kippur is a blocker. It's a protector. So we hold that Yom Kippur has within its essence of the day the ability to mitigate some of that negative tum'ah that comes a person's way. So one perspective says, you know, I don't want to be washing because there's an isur hitzah, you know, you can't wash on Yom Kippur. Okay, but I'm really not washing. If I go up to my wrist anyway, what am I doing? The other perspective says that it's not the same level of tum'ah. I don't have to be that worried on Yom Kippur. All I need is to get to my knuckles and I'm done. That's all I need because I'm within the energy of Yom Kippur. So I don't have the same negative stuff coming at me.
Okay, so it's not that we're not allowed it's not that we're not allowed to wash. We don't really need to wash.
So
Like-
that's the perspective that I think is the most palatable, right?
Got it.
So that's needed, right? Right. Good. So there's a story of a person who had these very substantial challenges, and he goes to one of these kubalim, you would say, and the Mikubal tells him, you know, you're a really good guy, and I want you to make one change in your life. He was a regular observant person, not a, regular like all of us, regular observant person, loves HaKadosh Baruch Hu, loves Torah, loves Shabbat, and so on. And he said, well, what should I do? Should I be learning more Torah? No. Should I be a little more careful on Shabbat? No. He says, but Rabbi, listen, no, I'm going through a very, very difficult time. What should I do? He says, you don't wash in the morning.
Oh my God.
He said, what are you talking about? He goes, you don't do Netilat Yadayim in the morning. He said, so you're getting a lot coming at you that needn't come at you. Now, we don't live, all of us, in this world of an absolute Kabbalistic lifestyle, but we also can't ignore it or negate it because it is a validated large element of Judaism that is hugely impactful. In fact, Sephardic halacha specifically is hugely influenced by Kabbalah. So I think somebody said it earlier on that Kabbalah has a lot to do with this, and it does. And although we live, all of us, in a much more rational based Judaism, we can't ignore this part of Judaism and the power and the punch that it brings with it. So we should be adhering to it. And I will tell you that it will bring more clarity. It will bring more awareness. It will bring more confidence. How? I don't know. I know the guy and I know the rabbi this guy spoke to. I know what his life circumstances are. I know his level of observance. He's a fabulous person. Going through a very, very difficult time. And the fact that the rabbi could have told him, study more Torah, do more chesed, be more makpid on kashrut, could have told him all those things, because everybody can improve in all those areas, right? And he told him, no. This thing is blocking you. Now, again, I'm not suggesting that we change our lifestyles and become Kabbalistic Jews. That's not who we are. We're very much who we are, Syrian Sephardic Jews, steeped in halacha, that comes from a very practical based lifestyle, which we live and we love. But at the same time, this is an important part of who we are. And it's unquestionably real. What else? Any other thoughts, questions?
Yeah, Ricky. So the Kabbalistic thing always intrigued me, and reading like Zohar books on Zohar, which I'm not a Zohar guy. I read it, in other words, understanding. But it's interesting that my rabbis taught me that, and Zohar book that I read in English translation said that the mere recitation of it has that superpower. You don't have to be that ingrained in it. But my feeling of say, like you say, we have our way, whatever. But Kabbalistic exercise definitely has, to me, is like a beracha on steroids.
It's something. It's definitely something. I'm absolutely with you. It's definitely something.
Right.
And what it brings and how it brings it, we don't know. But there's something very logical and practical to say. This thing started in the Bet HaMikdash with a sensitivity to purity as it related to the highest level expression of connectedness to Borei Olam, korbanot, sacrifices.
Right.
One level drop down to Rumah. One level drop down, the energy that food has within it can be enhanced, can be enabled, can be unlocked by pure hands.
Right.
I think all of that we can pull outside of Kabbalistic logic, and we can make good rational sense of that, right? Right? We know that food has energy. We know that. We know it.
But we know if we wash our hands and get rid of bacteria, we're not infecting the food that we're eating.
Right. Good. So this doesn't mean that we shouldn't have clean hands. It just means we want to deal with the very practical world in terms of removing the dirt from our hands. And we want to work with the spiritual world in terms of making our hands become enablers to unlock the beautiful energy in food. Sari, from your perspective, in terms of what you teach, do you touch on the energy in food as well or no?
I don't really talk about, I feel like it's too personal to talk about diet. But yoga stems from the Hindu religion, and the Hindus, they don't eat anything animal based. They're completely vegetarian. So
Right.
they'll have, some of them will eat milk, dairy products, but some of them won't even eat eggs. So,
Right.
there's that diet, that many people stand by. But I will say that in a yoga perspective, in the beginning, like of every class, you have to teach people to have, be mindful and to kind of have kavanah, to kind of feel their presence and notice their silhouette and feel that they're alive inside their body. And palms up, we teach, is connecting to the heavens or even the energy in the room. Palms down is connecting to the earth, or it's even to yourself. It's more introspective. So we talk about the hands. And on another level is when you exhale all the stale air that's in the body. And once you completely exhale even more, like even after you completely exhale, the new inhalation is just fresh, fresh, and it's like opening up a window and bringing in fresh air into the room, but first we have to exhale. So I feel like it's kind of connected to what you're saying about washing your hands, just to kind of refresh yourself. I guess it's done with the breath.
Right.
Yeah.
Removing the negative and being able to absorb the positive. Right. Yeah. Final point. I will suggest to all of you that over time you will begin to sense. By the way, if you shook hands with a person who doesn't do Netilat Yadayim, in the morning you have to do Netilat again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's ad kadei kach. We know that certain people, when they walk into a room, there's a certain energy that comes in with them. There's a certain magnetism with certain people. They haven't said anything, and they're not looking for anything, but they're simply somehow who they are radiates something, and it's something that I've seen in most of the people on this screen, that there's a certain presence and a certain energy. And that's a beautiful thing. We say certain people have chen, they have fineness, which is incredibly compelling and draws people to another. You know, some rabbis have it, some teachers have it, some men and women just have chen, and that we know comes from learning Torah and doing chesed. I want to suggest that over time, when a person becomes consistent with his or her netilat yadayim, washing in the morning, that there again, there's a different dimension of energy, of attractiveness, of magnetism that will become part of each person's persona. It's part of that metaphysical, physical line that enables a different reality. It allows us to live in this very practical world, just walking a few inches above the ground, with a reality that's somewhat purified and enlightened and sunnier and more enriching. And I want to strongly suggest that that's what this allows. And at the same time, I want to strongly suggest that we push this point and we push it hard, because our rabbis push it hard and they feel very strongly about it. You know, never touch a baby until you've done the Tilat Yadayim. Wow. Wow. Never touch an eye, your nose, your mouth, your ears. Never. Never touch an important body part until you've done the Tilat Yadayim. So it has great power. And, you know, the topic of the class was those forces that shape us. I believe this is one of them. So it's simple. It's basically free. You know, a bowl and a washing cup right by the bed. So simple. Especially now, you know, we have indoor plumbing and we have all the things that just several hundred years ago, you know, imagine how difficult it was for people back in the day to do Netilat Yadayim. It's so simple for us. So let's make a very serious attempt to do it. Let's teach our children to do it from a very young age, even though technically they're not obligated to do it, but philosophically, conceptually, let them grow into it and think that way and build their lives that way. Good. Any other thoughts, questions?
Great class.
Yeah.
Could it be done inside a bathroom?
Yes, so it can. And for many, many years, that's how I did it. I would go into the bathroom, do the netilah, step outside, raise up my hands, either do the shifshuf or not, and say the beracha. It can definitely be done in a bathroom, definitely. There are just a few challenges with the bathroom. One is our rabbis strongly suggest that a person shouldn't walk more than 8 feet from his bed to where the Netilat Yadayim is done, a little more than 8 feet. Let's call it 9 feet. I don't know if the bathroom is that close, great. If the bathroom is further than 8 or 9 feet, go 2 steps, pause, go another 2 steps, pause. So you're not walking the whole distance at one time, and you're not carrying that tum'ah, that impurity, all this distance. If you start and stop, halachically, it's not as if you carried it all at one time. So what does Chabad do? And I know some people from our own community who do this. I find it very interesting. And Rich, we talked about this, and Jake as well. We talked about this by Jeff's house when we had the tefillah and the learning. Chabad really pushed out this minhag. The Lubavitch Hasidim pushed out this minhag of doing a netilat yadayim without a beracha to immediately remove any impurity, immediately doing it, and then washing up, going to the bathroom, getting comfortable, and then doing it with a beracha. We don't do that. We don't do it. But where did that come from for them? It came from this very acute concern to remove the tum'ah as quickly as possible. So ideally, you can do it in the bathroom. Yes, of course, we say the beracha outside. Our bathrooms today are considered clean, so we don't have the issue of older time bathrooms. And that's certainly fine. Walking to the bathroom also a person may become uncomfortable. And in that time, in that couple of minutes when he or she is walking to the bathroom, and may want to use the bathroom before doing the netilah, which is also okay, but not preferred, because it means then that my tumah, my impurity is on my hands for that much longer. Imagine how much impurity is on our cell phones, right? Because, right, very often, what do? The first thing we get up, we grab the phone, right? What's going on? So the idea is to do it as close to the bed as possible and as quickly as possible, if possible. Yeah? Good?
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Okay.
Ricky.
All right,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Good to see everyone. Thank you. All the
Great
best.
class, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to
Thanks, Rick.
Really something to think about.
Yeah, I hope so.
Think about.
Great. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you, you too.
Bye, everybody.